Hi everybody, welcome and thank you for joining me after this rather long absence. You will notice that I'm dating the sections of this video because that is how I sort of kept diary of what happened over the last, say, 4 days. So my first diary entry, if you will, started on Sunday evening, the 16th. Now, I cannot even begin to tell you what transpired. As you know, I had not been well, and to make matters worse, I had two rather severe ailments. The one I think is good to share with you all because it can happen to anyone at any time, even if you're totally unaware that it could happen. I have been happily weeding the garden for weeks now, as the weeds sprung up. Well, like only weeds can after the rains we had. I obviously used gloves, but every now and then a stinging nettle will get me on the arm or through the pants. It would itch like heck for a while, but no harm, no foul. So last week at some point I decided I've had enough. I'm going to clear the one area completely. After about 30 minutes, I started feeling a bit woozy and decided to go inside for a while. And that's when it happened. Something gripped my throat and squeezed. I made it inside and started washing my hands and face, and my daughter, unbeknown to me, had an antihistamine nasal spray and tablet. We guessed, luckily correctly, that it was an allergic reaction, and luckily the symptoms subsided within minutes. But it was some of the longest minutes of my entire life. Now look, I do get hay fever, but have never in my entire life had a reaction to anything like that before. And I've lived a rather long life. Guys, a word of advice from me. Even if you are rather long in the tooth like me and think you are not allergic to anything, do yourselves a favor and keep a couple of antihistamine tablets and a throat or a nasal spray in your handbag or medicine cabinet. Even if you never use it, you may save someone else's life. I know some people use an EpiPen, but the nasal or throat spray cannot do any harm even if it turns out not to be an allergic reaction. Then, midweek, the stomach bug or IBS, who knows what it was, but it got me good. I was stuck in the bathroom, roaring like a pack of lions, eventually landing myself on a drip, and I was basically down for 2 days, trying to work, but just not feasible. I only started feeling better on Sunday. In the meantime, I also developed a tooth abscess. OMG, I really imagined the angel of death visiting a few times. But if you think that is all, then you are sorely mistaken. On Friday, there was a protest here in town because, number one, our electricity on our prepaid meters have become so darn expensive. £4.16 per unit. And number two, the local council started taking money off prepaid vouchers for everyone who is in arrear on their utilities bill. So some people would go buy electricity and say only get 4 units for 50 Rand or 100 Rand, that kind of thing. So the folk held a protest at the municipal buildings. That is until Friday night. Suddenly, full, full blockout. 3 towns to start off with. And as I was preparing this here, we were already going for 3.5 days. By Sunday night, not even cell phone signals were holding up anymore, as the service providers cannot keep up with the placing of generators. So Wi-Fi, cell phone, they may be on for an hour or two and then it's off again. Allegedly, 3 pylons broke, and the local branch of Eskom did not have the poles and the necessary parts to fix it, and had to wait for parts from Cape Town. Now, I suspect that this may have been sabotage, although there are now stories saying that they had been warned about the state of these pylons, okay, and they were given written warnings and they paid no attention to it. Anyway, so yeah, okay, so when you hear this video, you will know that electricity is back on. But if you think that's where it ended, think again. Because of all the damp and rain, our front door is swollen and it's a battle to open and close. Well, on Saturday, my daughter sent old Dragon Man to get the dog inside and close the door. And the next moment, we heard him yell. He pushed against the wooden part with his shoulder in an effort to close the door, and the glass pane on top shattered into a million pieces, about 100 of which went into his face, arm, and neck. I kid you not. He also went to school in plain clothes on Monday because his uniform was still wet, and. The last few days would have brought lesser mortals down, but I'm still standing, just about, but where there's breath, there is hope. I also have no idea what's going on out there in the real world. As I said, the internet is sketchy, our power banks are all drained, so it will take me at least a day to catch up. Now, Monday evening, the 17th, I carried on writing the diary, and it started with unbloody believable. Why, while everyone is struggling to get the power back on, struggling to get communication going, some idiotic criminals thought there was no better time to go steal cables and strip them for copper. I mean, the power is off anyway, how safe can it be? And they ended up digging up, I kid you not, and stealing 40 meters of electrical wire from a sports ground used by a school. You just cannot make this up. Now, as if that was not fun enough, a flippin' riot broke out just outside of town, where the folk of that area decided it was a good idea to burn tires and throw rocks at motorists, etc., etc. And then Monday night, the 17th, by 9 o'clock, it sounded like bloody Beirut here in Oudtshoorn. And I mean, that is rather scary in the dark. So came Tuesday. We still did not have our generator back. It needed a service. By 7 p.m. they said the power will be on by 8 p.m. No one believed them. But lo and behold, it came on just after 8. In a way, obviously, we were all very, very grateful. But also in a way, well, I am rather sad. Although I love long, hot baths, it was so nice to, for a while, just do what I want to do when I want to do it. I swept the veranda, I repotted some plants, I took an afternoon snooze. We actually ate at the kitchen table and talked nonsense until about 9 p.m. Unfortunately, it was also an expensive endeavor. We had to fill gas bottles, buy a little camping stove, had takeaways for lunch. We also could not start the generator, so I had to take it in for a service. And there were so many there that we are still waiting to get it back, even though the electricity is on already. But it doesn't matter. We will package it nice and clean and keep the dust off it, for next time. We also had to cook everything in the freezer and give it to the dogs because everything was starting to go off. So this morning we woke up with electricity, but an empty fridge and freezer. We are going to take the opportunity, though, to give the fridge and the freezer a proper clean before slowly stocking it again. Oh well, good and bad always come to an end, and my next video will be on, what else but the royals. So until then, please take good care of yourselves, stay vigilant, stay safe, and at this point, I would even advise you to always be prepared. Not like us. We've been through this before, yet it caught us unaware and unprepared yet again. Okay, guys and girls, have a good day. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.